Hello and welcome to Week 14 in Introduction to Psychology, and we're pretty much at the end of the content. We're going to be talking about Chapter 16, the last chapter, and then next week is just a week of when the final information literacy papers are due. So exciting time here as we come to the end of the semester. So Chapter 16 follows up with Chapter 15, where we had a brief description of what do we mean by mental disorders and mental illness, and we go into Chapter 16 as to what do we do about them? What is available out there in terms of treatments and rehabilitation, or treatments and therapy as it seeks. So I have three things here that I want you to do with this particular chapter. First, the discussion is to maybe explore the concept of why it might be difficult for people to actually seek help. I mean, even though I have several classes that I'm teaching right now full of psych majors, and we recently had a discussion in my social psychology class, and almost everyone in that class expressed a reluctance to go see a psychologist. They want to be one, but they have some sort of fear or other barrier that keeps them from wanting to seek one out for themselves. An interesting result of that particular discussion. But what could be those barriers for you or for people that you know? Why wouldn't we seek help? So let's have some discussion around that. The quiz is actually really centering on what I believe is one of the most important aspects of understanding what happens when a person has a chronic, pervasive, persistent mental illness. One is treatment, and treatment is the reduction of symptomology. One is rehabilitation, that's living with the symptomology. Both of these things happen. So if I'll use a physical ailment. If I break an arm, there's the treatment for that arm, which means I'll get a cast, I'll get reset, I'll get checked up, the x-rays and all that to determine the problem, blah, blah, blah. But then there's a functional part. If it's my right hand, what am I going to do about writing? What am I going to do about operating anything that, I drive a standard automobile? How am I going to shift gears? When my right arm is out, those functional deficits that come out where I have to learn a way to live with a broken arm. Now, that's a temporary thing. Hopefully, they did a good job on my arm, and my arm will be back in full capacity within a short time, and I'll be able to return to the way I did things before. But in the meantime, I have to develop a lifestyle that takes into consideration I no longer have my right arm. So imagine if you have a chronic illness that interrupts major areas of your life, like we talked about in Chapter 15. How do you build a lifestyle that takes those into consideration so you can live, thrive, whatever that you want to do? And that's the world of rehabilitation. They work in conjunction with each other, lowering the symptomology, maybe having it mostly go away sometimes if we're lucky, and then how do we live with what's left? How do we develop a lifestyle that exists around a healthy presence of a disability such as mental illness? So I'm having you talk about that in the quiz. In the assignment, I'm having you do something for all you artsy types. This is your time to shine. I'm going to have you create what is called an infographic. And you may know more about this than I do. An infographic is a graphic representation of all kinds of information. It is often in a digital format, but it can be printed as a poster, and you see just all kinds of information on it. And I'm having you create an infographic about a particular mental illness. Its etiology, means where did it come from, what are the symptoms, and what are the available treatments, as if you were going to make a poster and put that on the wall as information for people to consume, like a public service announcement of some kind. So I'm having you get creative about this. This means good use of pictures, good use of colors. It's all one document. It's not a slideshow. It's not a paper. It's a graphic representation. Not a whole, there's words on it to tell the facts, but there's images to support it so it's attractive for people to look at. If you just look up infographic on the web, you'll see all kinds of examples of that. And I want you to create one. You're going to then export that as a PDF, and that PDF will be uploaded into the Dropbox. Now there's some, I believe there's still a link within the course book to a infographic free website of some kind. Now keep in mind, free means they want you to buy it someday, so you don't have to buy it. Just use the free version. I don't care if there's, watermarks on it or anything like that, that show that it's not official. That's fine, but that's a great tool. You can also do it in a PowerPoint with just one slide and, blow it up really big. There's all kinds of tools that you can use. Just look up, how do I create a infographic? Be innovative that way. And what I think this allows people to do, those of you who are not artsy, you're forced to do something sort of graphic and take into consideration how other people see things. For those of you who are artistically inclined, I want you to go all out. And I have seen some very, very good work, some professional designers out there in the making with this assignment. So show me what you got with this particular assignment. Have fun with it. I'm looking for the elements to be there so it would be instructional. If I saw this hanging on the wall someplace, I'd be like, yeah, that tells me a little bit about that disease, tells me about, what makes up that disease, where did it come from, and what people do to treat it. And this is a little bit of research. You have to look this stuff up. You don't just make it up. You look up and make sure you look at some pretty valid sources. WebMD, it's getting it's kind of there. It's one of the sources. I prefer the National Institute of Mental Health or even the Center for Disease Control and the CDC having lots of information on this kind of things. And then, specifically looking up different treatments and whatnot. So have fun with this one, kind of a creative piece to this course. This is the last of the content. I have received a number of drafts. Very cool, very surprising. My college students don't do that. They don't take advantage of that. And I got at least 20 from these 2 high school classes. So way to go. Way to take advantage of that particular opportunity for feedback. I'll be getting those to you as soon as I can this week, and then you can get those the final presentation, your final papers, into me next week. So have a great week, having fun with learning about therapy and treatment, and I will see you in the discussions.